Okay, all of you? So we now go into a very important concept called as pedigree analysis. What exactly is pedigree analysis? Study of the family history about inheritance of a particular trait is called as pedigree analysis. तो एक family history of a disease in a family tree, एक फैमिली ट्री के अंदर एक डिजीज कैसे इनहेरिट होती है इज कॉल्ड एज पेडिग्री एनालिसिस. एंड सर, व्हाट इज पेडिग्री एनालिसिस शोन एज? सर, दीज आर सम सिंबल्स ऑफ पेडिग्री एनालिसिस. इफ वी हैव अ स्क्वायर व्हिच इज नॉट कलर्ड, then that is a male. If we have a circle which is not colored, it is a female. If it is a rhombus, that means the sex is unspecified, we have to find the sex. So square, male, circle, female, rhombus, sex unspecified. And if we have square, circle and rhombus with color in them, that means they are affected with a disease. So if they are without color, they are unaffected. If they are colored, which means they are affected. And square और circle के बीच में एक line है, means husband and wife have had a mating. उनके बीच में mating हुआ है and they will produce offspring. अगर एक circle और एक square के बीच में दो lines है, that is mating between relatives, consanguineous mating. क्लोजली रिलेटेड इंडिविजुअल्स के बीच में मीटिंग होता है, दैट इज मीटिंग बिटवीन रिलेटिव्स, व्हिच इज कॉल्ड एज consanguineous meeting. And we have square and circle which has then produced circle with square, which means father and mother have mated, they have produced daughter and son, and none of them are affected. But if square and circle के बीच में मीटिंग हुआ है and we are having color, that means father and mother have passed on a disease to the child, and the child is having a color, means he is affected. And we have a rhombus with 5, so 5 means these are 5 unaffected offspring. ये अगर colored होता था तो affected होता था, ये colored नहीं है, so these are 5 affected offspring, unaffected offspring. So what is non-colored? Male, female, unspecified sex, non-colored are unaffected. What are colored means they are affected. So unaffected, affected. And sir, what are Mendelian disorders? All diseases, genetic disorders are grouped into two categories: Mendelian disorders and chromosomal disorders. Chromosomal disorders are due to chromosomal defects. For example, Down syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, Turner syndrome are all called as chromosomal disorders. And other diseases which are genetically passed on are called as Mendelian disorders. So which are the Mendelian disorders? You have hemophilia, which blood doesn't clot, cystic fibrosis, which affects the lungs and there is difficulty in breathing. There is sickle cell anemia, color blindness, phenylketonuria, thalassemia, etc. are all examples of Mendelian disorders. And it is important to mention that Mendelian disorders may be dominant or may be recessive. एक Mendelian disorder dominant हो सकता है या recessive हो सकता है. And we have 5 types of Mendelian disorders. Autosomal dominant, जिसके हमने एग्जाम्पल्स किए, autosomal recessive, जिसके हमने एग्जाम्पल्स किए थे, X-linked dominant, X-linked recessive, and Y-linked disease. So once again, you have autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, X-linked dominant, X-linked recessive, and Y-linked disease. So let us do some nice pedigree charts to understand which are these disorders? So sir, समझो we have this pedigree chart here. Female is infected, male is not infected, and we are having lots of offspring. Some are infected, some are not infected. So can it be a violent disease? Male is infected, but sir, अगर male infected है, then he would have got the violent disease from his father. That means the father also should have been infected. But father is not infected, which means this is not a violent disease. अगर violent disease होता था, it should have infected both the father and the son. And of course, violent disease में woman would never get infected because violent would pass only from father to son. So this is not a violent disease. Can it be an X-linked disease? X-linked disease, say color blindness. Female is infected. Mind you, she is not a carrier, she is infected. So she is X small c, X small c. And the male is X capital C Y. Now, what would happen if she is X small c? The son will get Y chromosome from father. Y chromosome from father, but he would have got X chromosome from the mother, and that means mother would have passed X small c and Y to the son. That means the son should have been infected. So X small c Y means the son has to be infected, but the son is not infected. The son is not infected. That means it is not a X-linked disorder. It is not an X-linked disorder. Otherwise, the mother is infected with X small c. Son should have been infected, but son is not infected, means it is not an X-linked disorder. तो violent भी नहीं है, X-linked भी नहीं है. तो ये कौन सा disorder है? It could be autosomal disorder. Autosomal disorder and autosomal dominant हो सकता है या autosomal recessive हो सकता है. So let us assume this is autosomal disorder and lady is infected, so she has got say a bad gene and a good gene, and the father is not infected, so he has got good gene and good gene. Suppose this is autosomal dominant. Autosomal dominant means the bad gene becomes dominant over the good gene. The affected gene becomes dominant over the normal wild gene, and good gene, so not infected. And so where does this bad gene go? The daughter will get good gene and good gene. The son will get bad gene and good gene. This daughter will get bad gene and good gene. This son got good gene and good gene. So what is this? All of them got good gene. What is this son got? Bad gene and good gene. What is this daughter got? Bad gene and good gene. Now, where has this disease gone? Sir, from the bad gene and good gene, और यहाँ पर है good gene, the disease has gone to the next generation, where here we have good gene, here we have good gene, and here we have bad gene and good gene. So ये bad gene and good gene, which means this generation is affected. अभी सर सबसे crucial कि sir this generation is not affected, means it is good gene, and this is also good gene, and next generation nobody will get infected because both parents are showing only good gene, तो कोई भी infected नहीं है next generation में. So yes, this makes sense that this is an autosomal dominant disease. ये कौन सा disease है? Autosomal dominant disease. And golden rule In autosomal dominant disease, the disease will pass from one generation to the next generation, from the next generation to the next generation. It passes from generation to generation. If it skips one generation, it will not be found in the next generation. And autosomal dominant disease passes from generation to generation without skipping a generation. If it skips one generation, it is not found in the next generation. So what is this an example of? Autosomal dominant disease. And this is an autosomal recessive disease. Autosomal recessive disease, sir, सबसे पहले, can this be Y-linked? Y-linked possible नहीं है because father is not infected. Can it be X-linked? X-linked, no sir. X-linked also possible नहीं है because sir, here the daughter is diseased. Here the daughter is diseased, and that means if she is X small c, then she would have got one X capital C X small c from the mother. So mother is carrier and she would have got X small c. One X small c would have gone from mother into the daughter, but the other X small c should have come from the father. One X small c has come from mother, but the other X small c should have come from father. So father should have been X small c Y. That means the father should have been infected. If daughter is infected, then father has to be infected. If daughter is infected, then father has to be infected. If daughter is infected, father has to be infected. So दो golden rule है for an X-linked disorder. If mother is infected, son has to be infected, and if daughter is infected, father has to be infected. Once again, for an X-linked disorder, if mother is infected, son has to be infected. If daughter is infected, father has to be infected. यहाँ daughter infected है, but father infected नहीं है. So this cannot be an X-linked disorder. So it is not Y-linked because this father is not infected. Father is not infected, so Y-linked नहीं है. X-linked नहीं है because daughter is infected and father is not infected, so ये X-linked नहीं है. So this has to be an autosomal disorder. And autosomal disorder, can this be autosomal dominant? Autosomal dominant, that means here we have good gene. तो अगर यहाँ पर good gene है, एक भी bad gene होता था, the bad gene would have become dominant over good gene and the person would have been infected. But sir, यहाँ पर bad gene है ही नहीं, good gene. Now, if these are all good genes, then the next generation should not be infected. If it skips one generation, it cannot be found in the next generation. Whatever, an autosomal dominant disorder, if it skips one generation, it cannot be found in the next generation. If it skips one generation, it cannot be found in the next generation. We remember autosomal dominant disorder, if it is found in one generation, it is found in the next generation, and in the next generation, that is autosomal dominant disorder. If it skips one generation, it is not found in the next generation. So this is skipping a generation and found in the next generation, skipping a generation, found in the next generation. So sir, it is not autosomal dominant, it is autosomal recessive. So if this is autosomal recessive, so ये autosomal recessive है, and this is a carrier. So we have good gene, bad gene, good gene, bad gene. Bad gene is there, but bad gene is recessive and good gene becomes dominant. यहाँ पर क्या था? Bad gene was dominant and good gene was recessive. So here it was autosomal dominant. But यहाँ पर we have good gene, bad gene, of which good gene is dominant over bad gene. So this is autosomal recessive. ये हो गया autosomal dominant. This is autosomal recessive. हाँ, let's see now. Good gene is dominant over bad gene. Good gene is dominant over bad gene. So in the next generation, what will happen? This child got bad gene and bad gene. This child got bad gene and bad gene. And other children got good gene and good gene, or they got good gene and bad gene. So they are either normal or they become carriers. But they will not have bad gene, bad gene. तो यहाँ पर bad gene आया, यहाँ पर bad gene आया, यहाँ पर समझो आया good gene, bad gene, और यहाँ पर समझो आया good gene, bad gene. तो what has come? Yes, यहाँ पर कौन सा जीन आया? Good gene, bad gene. यहाँ पर कौन सा आया? Good gene, bad gene. And good gene became dominant over bad gene. Good gene became dominant over bad gene, so they are not affected. But they have passed in the next generation a bad gene, and next generation the child becomes infected. So golden bird, where has the bad gene gone from? Father to the next generation. Good gene has come here, and good gene has come here, bad gene has come here, and good gene, bad gene are carriers. Good gene, bad gene are carriers. But bad gene has become infected. So golden rule is autosomal recessive. You can have skipping of generation and the next generation can be infected. Skipping of generation and the next generation can be infected. So we have skipped parental generation, F1 generation and F2 generation with disease आई. Then it is autosomal recessive. But autosomal dominant में क्या था? If parent is infected, next generation gets infected, next generation gets infected. If it skips a generation, it is not found in the next generation, then that is autosomal dominant. So autosomal dominant में, if it skips one generation, it is not found in the next generation. Autosomal recessive में, it skips one generation, skips another generation and is then found in the next generation, so it is called autosomal recessive. So write this down, all of you, where this flowchart is there in your book. Write this down carefully. For Weiling disease, passed from male to male to male. For Weiling disease, passed from male to male to male. For X-linked disease, if mother is infected, son has to be infected. If mother is infected, son has to be infected. If daughter is infected, father has to be infected. So for X-linked disease, if mother is infected, son has to be infected. If daughter is infected, father has to be infected. For autosomal dominant disorder. For autosomal dominant disorder, passes from generation to generation. Passes from generation to generation. If it skips one generation, will not be found in the next generation. Will not be found in the next generation. And for autosomal recessive disorder, can skip generations and found in the next generation. Can skip generations and found in the next generation. So once again, for Weiling disease, passes from male to male to male. For X-linked disease, if mother is infected, son has to be infected. If daughter is infected, father has to be infected. For autosomal dominant disorder, passes from generation to generation. If it skips one generation, will not be found in the next generation. And for autosomal recessive disorder, can skip generation and found in the next generation. So we have analyzed these rules of pedigree analysis. तो ये वाला कौन सा हो गया? Example of autosomal dominant. ये वाला कौन सा हो गया? Autosomal recessive. And ये वाला वीडियो संभाल के रखना, because I have given you many examples of pedigree charts. तो सारी pedigree charts हम लोग कर लेते हैं. Which is this disease has passed on from male to male to male, has passed on from male to male to male. So this is a Weiling disorder, hypertrichosis. Weiling disorder has passed from male to male to male. So this is an example of a Weiling itch. Then we have this chart. In the pedigree chart, no outsider is carrying the disease. What are the genotypes of C and D? Now, they have already mentioned that this is an X-linked Weiling disease. ये X-linked Weiling disease है क्योंकि ऑटोसोम मेंशन नहीं किया है ऑप्शंस में. So this is a Weiling. Can it be Weiling? If son is diseased, father has to be diseased, and father is not diseased. So this is an X-linked disorder. ये Weiling नहीं है, it's an X-linked. In which the mother is diseased. So she is X small c, say for color blindness. She is X small c for color blindness, and father can be normal. He is X capital CY. And what will the son become? The son will become X small c and Y. So son has become diseased. And check this here, this daughter, C, they have asked you about C and D. So they have asked you C and they have asked you D. What will daughter become? She can be X capital C, or she can be X small c, X capital C. So she can be either carrier or she can be normal. But in the next generation, the son is X small c Y. He is color blind. So what has son got from father? Y chromosome. So what has son got from mother? From the mother, son has got X small c, means the daughter C is passing on X small c to the child means she is not X capital C, she is not normal, she is a carrier. So what is C which is without color? X capital C, X small c, that is X small c, and she is a carrier. And what will D become? He is male without disease. So he is X capital C Y, or in simple words XY. So what is C carrier? X small c. In other words, X capital C, X small c. And what is male? X capital C Y. So C is X capital C, X small c. Male is X capital C Y. So this is an example of X-linked disorder. ये X-linked है, X-linked disorder है, and यहाँ रूल आ गया आपका. If the mother is diseased, son has to be diseased. If mother is diseased, son has to be diseased. This son is outside the family tree. ये family tree के बाहर, son is outside the family tree. This is from outside, so he is not diseased. But if mother is diseased, son has to be diseased. So this is an example of an X-linked recessive disorder. Then we have this pedigree chart. So can this be X-linked? If the daughter is diseased, father has to be diseased. If daughter is diseased, father has to be diseased. So this is not an X-linked disorder. It is of course not a Y-linked disorder, क्योंकि father disease नहीं है तो Y-linked नहीं है. Daughter is diseased and father has to be diseased for an X-linked disorder, and this is not X-linked. Is it autosomal dominant? Autosomal dominant, if it skips one generation, it should not be found in the next generation. And it has skipped one or two generations and found in the next generation. So which is this disorder? This is an autosomal recessive disorder. This is an autosomal recessive disorder, can skip generation and found in the next generation. It can skip generations and found in the next generation. So what is this pedigree chart? Inheritance of condition like phenylketonuria, which is an autosomal recessive disorder. So this is an autosomal recessive disorder like phenylketonuria. Then we have this pedigree, very nice pedigree. Check this here. Father is diseased, mother is normal, and daughters are diseased, but sons are normal. Now, father is diseased, daughters are normal, father is diseased, sons are normal, and daughters are diseased. Now, sir, can this be X-linked recessive disorder? X-linked recessive. Now, sir, X-linked recessive नहीं हो सकता है. This is X-linked dominant. Now, sir, ध्यान देना. If this is X small c, now if mother is diseased, son has to be diseased. Mother is diseased, X small c, son has to be diseased, son has to be diseased. But we have shown here that the mother is diseased and the sons are normal. Sons are normal. So this is not a recessive X-linked. It is not dominant Y-linked. It is not recessive Y-linked. It is not recessive X-linked. Rather, which is this disease? ध्यान से याद रखना, this is dominant X-linked disorder. So this is an X-linked dominant disorder. So X small dy or dominant capital Dy, X capital Dy, and this is X small d, X small d. So mother is normal, father has got the dominant disorder over X-linked dominant disorder. What has father inherited to the sons? Sons को गया Y chromosome, Y chromosome, Y chromosome, Y chromosome. Mother से son में क्या आया? X small cd, X small cd, X small cd, X small cd. And what have the sons become? Normal. But what is the father given to the daughter? Daughter got 1x small d from the mother. 1x small d from the mother. But the father passed x capital D and x capital D to the daughter, and the daughter has become diseased. So, daughter has become diseased. So, what is the father having an X-linked dominant disorder, and sons have got Y chromosome and X small d from the normal mother, and father has inherited X capital D to the daughter, and capital D became dominant over small d and caused the X-linked dominant disorder. So ये वाला कौन सा हो गया? X-linked dominant disorder, and you can write that for X-linked dominant disorder. For X-linked dominant disorder, father is diseased, daughter is diseased, but sons are normal. Father is diseased, daughter is diseased, but sons are normal. Father is diseased, daughters are diseased, but sons are normal. Then ये कौन सा हो गया? Dominant X-linked disorder. So which is this disorder? Dominant X-linked disorder. ये आ गया. Beautiful logic. Then this is showing inheritance of attached earlobes and free earlobes. Free earlobes, attached earlobes. Sir, can this be Y-linked? Y-linked तो possible नहीं है. Can this be X-linked? ये X-linked possible है. Sir, X-linked में if daughter is diseased, father has to be diseased. So this is not X-linked recessive. If daughter is diseased, father has to be diseased. Can it be autosomal dominant? If it skips one generation, cannot be found in the next generation. So what is this disease? Autosomal recessive disease. Autosomal recessive, and उसके अंदर good gene, bad gene, good gene, bad gene. What is the daughter got? Bad gene, and that means it is an autosomal recessive disorder. And both the parents are heterozygous for the autosomal recessive disorder. Both parents are heterozygous for autosomal recessive disorder. So this is autosomal recessive. And we have inheritance of which pattern here? Male is normal, woman is carrier, daughter is carrier, son is normal, son is diseased. So this is a classical example of X-linked recessive disorder. For example, color blindness. Where has the disease gone from? Color blind father to carrier mother, and from carrier mother to color blind grandson. From color blind father to carrier daughter to color blind grandson. Example of criss-cross inheritance, X-linked recessive disorder. Criss-cross inheritance from colorblind father to carrier daughter to colorblind grandson. This is an example of criss-cross inheritance. So this is X-linked recessive disorder. And this is pedigree chart for sickle cell anemia. We already know sickle cell anemia is an autosomal recessive disorder. So here they have asked you, what are the genotypes of parents? Both parents are not affected, but their children are affected. Means they are carriers. So they are carriers. So sir, there is good gene, bad gene, good gene, bad gene. What has this child got? Bad gene, bad gene. What has this child got? Bad gene, bad gene. What has this child got? Bad gene and good gene. Why bad gene? It could be good gene, but next generation is showing bad gene, means this is good and this has to be bad, and this has to be good and bad, this has to be good and bad, and that is the reason this child will get bad and bad. So good bad. What is 2 year? Bad. What is 3 year? Bad. What is 1 year? Bad good. And what is this child also? Good bad. And what has this child got? Bad and has become diseased. So now if we put it in words, what are the genotypes of parents? For sickle cell anemia, parents are carriers. So they are HbA, HbS, HbA, HbS. So ये दोनों कौन हो गए? HbA, HbS, HbA, HbS. And what is the genotype of first and third child? First child, this generation is sickle cell anemia. So this is X, this is HbS, HbS. So what has first child got to pass? One HbS gene here, but herself she is not carrying. So she is HbA, HbS. She is a carrier. And what is the genotype of third child? Third child is infected, so it is HbS, HbS. So what are parents? HbA, HbS, HbA, HbS. Both are carriers. What is first child? HbA, HbS, and will pass the disease to the next generation. And what is third child? HbS, HbS, and is suffering from sickle cell anemia. So sickle cell anemia, this is the genotype of parent HbA, HbS. First child is HbA, HbS, and third child is HbS, HbS, and is suffering carrier. Carrier, suffering. Carrier, suffering. Sickle cell anemia. Fine. And then we have pedigree chart showing X-linked trait controlled by gene R. What are the genotypes of ABCD? सर अगर ये साइन ऐसा होता है ना एक पेडिग्री में कि आधा कलर्ड है और आधा नॉर्मल है, आधा कलर्ड है आधा नॉर्मल है, मींस दे आर कैरियर्स, so ये another representation of pedigree chart. So sir, what will be mother is having small r है ही नहीं, she doesn't have small r, so she is normal, XX. So she is normal, XX. What is father diseased? So he is having X small r Y. Father is having X small r Y. He is diseased. X-linked trait controlled by gene R. So he is X small r Y. What is C now? Heterozygous. So it is and daughter. So it is X small r. X is normal. X small r is infected, or that means the carrier state. So XX small r or XRX. And what is B or Y is normal? Child male is normal, so he is XY. So he is XY. So what is mother? XX. What is father with disease? XRY. What is carrier daughter? XXR. And what is son? XY. Not. So this is example of X-linked disorder. And then we have polydactyly, which is an autosomal dominant disorder. हम लोग को मालूम ही है polydactyly is an autosomal dominant disorder. What are the genotypes of family members 1, 2 and 3? So sir, one is diseased and next generation is showing normal. So capital P for polydactyly, small p for normal. And this child got normal gene. Ye small p, and this son got small p. What does the daughter get? Daughter got from mother small p, but from the father capital P, so she got polydactyly. Capital P is dominant over small p. And what does the third son have? The third daughter have? She has got no disease, so she is small p. So this is polydactyly, which is autosomal dominant disorder. What does first person have? Father has got Capital P, small p. What does mother have? Small p, small p. Small p, small p. What does this son got? Small p, small p. What does daughter got? Second one got capital P, small p. Of which capital P is dominant over small p and she is diseased. So capital P, small p, disease. Capital P, small p, disease. And what does third child got? The third one got no disease. So she is small p, small p. So ये कौन सा disease हो गया? Autosomal dominant. And what is this an example of? Autosomal dominant disorder. Autosomal dominant disorder. And which is this disorder? Can this be violent? Violent नहीं हो सकता है because the two sons are diseased. Then this has to be diseased. Father has to be diseased. Those sons will be diseased with violence. So which is this disease? This is an autosomal recessive disorder. Autosomal recessive disorder. Can it be autosomal dominant? If it skips one generation, it cannot be found in the next generation. So it cannot be autosomal dominant. So which is this disorder? Autosomal recessive disorder. Good gene, bad gene, good gene, bad gene has given bad gene, bad gene, has given bad gene, bad gene with a carrier here. And so this is an autosomal recessive. If it skips one generation and found in the next generation, then this is an autosomal recessive disorder. So ये कौन सा हो गया? Autosomal recessive disorder. And this is inheritance of attached earlobe and autosomal recessive disorder. So they have given only autosomal recessive disorder. Children are affected. So what are parents? Parents are heterozygous. It's an autosomal recessive. They got good gene, bad gene, good gene, bad gene. What has this child got? Bad gene, bad gene. What has this child got? Bad gene, bad gene. And what have these children got? Good gene, or good gene, bad gene, or good gene, bad gene, of which good gene is dominant over bad gene, and that means these are autosomal recessive disorders. Parents are heterozygous for autosomal recessive disorder. And which is this disorder? Just a repeat of inheritance of sickle cell anemia. We know it without seeing the chart only. We know sickle cell anemia is autosomal and recessive. तो कई बार अगर डिजीज का नाम मालूम पड़ेगा, you automatically know it is autosomal recessive automatically without looking at the pedigree. If it has skipped one generation and found in the next generation, then it is autosomal recessive. It is an autosomal recessive. Myotonic dystrophy is by itself autosomal dominant. Myotonic dystrophy is autosomal dominant, passed on from one generation to the other. Passed on from one generation to the other. If it skips one generation, it is not found in the next generation. Passes from one generation to the other. If it skips one generation, not found in the next generation. So this is autosomal dominant disorder. It's an autosomal dominant disorder. Myotonic dystrophy is an autosomal dominant disorder. And here we have albinism. Albinism, what are the parents? Parents are having albino child, normal child, albino child. So अगर albino है, normal है, means they have got capital A for normal gene, small a for albinism, capital A for normal gene, small a for albinism. And what did this child get from both parents? Small a. What did this child get from both parents? Small a. And what did this child become normal? So this becomes capital A and capital A or small a, and this also becomes capital A and this becomes capital A or small a. So ये वाला कौन सा हो गया? Normal child can be normal or carrier. But these two children are albinos. अगर ये दोनों albino है और parents को disease नहीं दिखाया है, means both parents are carriers of albinism. Both parents are carriers for albinism. हाँ ये याद है, अच्छा disorder, अच्छा cause दिखाया है ये. And you have identify inheritance in the given diagram. Excellent pedigree. Mother is diseased, daughter is diseased, son is diseased. From the daughter, children are diseased, but from the son children are not diseased. Excellent. Mother is diseased, sons and daughter both are diseased. From the daughter, next generation is diseased. From the son, next generation is not diseased. This is a cytoplasmic or mitochondrial inheritance. Cytoplasmic or mitochondrial inheritance means this is neither X-linked, Y-linked, dominant, recessive, कुछ नहीं है. This is a mutation in the mitochondria. And mutation in the mitochondria is there in the mother. Where will the mitochondria get inherited from? From the mother to the next generation. If you remember, father's sperm, when it enters the egg, the mitochondria along with the middle piece and tail will fall off. So, what will a child inherit? Mitochondria of mother. So child will inherit mitochondria of mother, and from mother it is found in both son and daughter. Both son and daughter will show mitochondrial disorder. So M has passed to both son and daughter. From daughter, the same M will pass to her next generation. So mitochondrial disorder will pass to the next generation. But from the son, when he marries a wife with normal mitochondria, this M sperm will have mitochondria falling off, and the sons will inherit not their mitochondria but the wife's mitochondria, means the mitochondrial disorder will not inherit in the next generation. I hope you understood that. Where is the mitochondrial disorder gone from? Mother to daughter to granddaughter, but has gone from mother to son, but from son it will get removed and is not found in the next generation, because the mitochondria always comes from the female, not from the male. So male mitochondria falls off, and that means it is not found in the next generation. What is this beautiful inheritance called as? Cytoplasmic or mitochondrial inheritance. इसे क्या कहते हैं? Cytoplasmic or mitochondrial inheritance. So we have done this. Please keep this video in a separate folder. Go through all these pedigree charts. ये आपके books में दिया नहीं है मैंने. Once the lecture start, I will give you same pedigree charts in a tabulated form, and I will give you the list of autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, and disorder, and sex limited, sex influence and holocentric genes का एक page बना के आपको दूंगा, and you can read it. फिलहाल keep this video separately in a different folder and read this up. Very soon we are going to have a test on this chapter. We have finished off with the entire chapter, chromosomal basis of inheritance. Next session we start with a fantastic chapter, biotechnology, genetic engineering and how it is done. Beautiful concept. I will be starting off with that. Please read this part thoroughly. Take care. God bless you.